welcome to Season 6 of How I Made It Through. As I've said before, it is often through pain and suffering that we learn our most profound lessons. It is through courageously exploring the inner landscape of our lives and seeking healing that we transform. Joining me this season is my newest co-host, Bernadette Thompson. Bernadette and I invite you to join us, now twice a week, as we continue to explore the extraordinary stories of those who've had near-death and spiritually transformative experiences, or are simply wise and old souls sent here to help the collective awaken and heal. Our show reminds us that death of the body does not mean death of the soul, and that indeed we do transition into the wonder of the afterlife and come back again and again and again. Our hope is that each episode will serve as inspiration for your own spiritual discovery. We thank you for joining us in this powerful learning and ask that you subscribe, comment, like, and share. Together, we can spread the growing awareness that we are all infinite souls sent to Earth School at this very unique and miraculous time in human evolution. So excited to have you, Sammie Swan, with How I Made It Through. Let me go ahead and read your bio and then we'll get started. Your bio says, as a dedicated astrologer, I'm passionate about unraveling the mysteries of the cosmos and sharing profound insights into the human experience. My work is rooted in the belief that astrology is a powerful tool for self-discovery and personal growth. I am a proud Level 3 graduate of Deborah Silverman's renowned Applied Astrology School, where astrology and psychology unite to inspire growth and transformation through honest, meaningful conversations. Aside from astrology, one might find me tending to my garden, practicing yoga, or exploring the natural world with my beloved dogs. These simple pleasures ground me and inspire my work. I'm honored to use my knowledge and intuition to guide others on their unique journeys. By delving into the depths of your birth chart, we can unlock hidden potentials and illuminate your soul's purpose, which is exactly why I said you are such an ideal guest for this show today and going forward, because it's all about uniting our soul's purpose. Once again, welcome.
Thank you so much. I've said before when we were getting ready, and I will say it again so everyone can hear, there is nowhere else I would rather be right now than with you ladies. So, and you know, I love the intro to your podcast too, because it's all about Earth School. And it's interesting because when we go through school, we are not taught about any of the things that astrology can share about each individual. And so that's why I love giving astrology readings to people, because they can take a step out of, the structure of how everything is. And we're really in a moment right now where as everyone knows, like there is a reawakening happening where the old is breaking down, where we all are being forced to look at how things are done. But one of my favorite teachers, her name is Sherry Mitchell, and she is an attorney. She is up in Maine, and she is indigenous, and she wrote a book called Sacred Instructions. And in that book, she says that personal transformation must precede any sort of collective transformation. And so that is where each day when I'm doing astrology and when, I have to revisit my chart all the time and remind myself, oh yeah, Sammie, you're really dipping into the low road of the energy that you chose this time around. What do we need to do to kind of get back on an even playing field? And, we all run into that. How can we be more aware of the things that we chose to pay attention to this lifetime?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think so much, and this may be an assumption, but I want to make sure that whomever is listening, they have the requisite understanding from your perspective of astrology so that they can be
Mm.
fluent in how they listen and interpret and apply it to their own lives. Growing up in the 70s and 80s, it was like, Linda Goodman sun signs, or open up the back of a magazine or the Sunday Times or whatever it was, and you're like, "Okay, I'm a Libra, so this week," right? Is there a way that you can define astrology that feels accessible so that this conversation has the impact that's intended?
Totally. Okay. And tell me if I'm hitting the mark here with this. I'm just going to kind of say what's we're going to hop on the live stream of Sammie's thought pattern right now.
I'm buckling up.
Yes, yes, put your seatbelts and helmets on. Okay. So, when I think about astrology, I first come to this moment that we all took our first breath when we were born on Earth. And during that time, we get a snapshot of where all the planets in the heavens were. And you get this snapshot. It's like a photo or a photograph of, like, I have both of yours pulled up, what this photo looks like when you both took your first breaths, where all the planets were. Are they above the horizon? Are they below the horizon? Which planets are interacting with one another? And this, from my perspective, has an immense effect on how we develop. Sure, there is absolutely a nature versus nurture with the parents and the family that we choose this lifetime. But you are going, I mean, and there's a reason why we choose the family that we choose this lifetime too. They are here no matter what to make sure that we are doing our life work. And we are here to work out the karma with these people who consistently come back into, from my belief, what we have many lifetimes and many things to learn, and our each lifetime helps our soul kind of climb up to the next step here of, like, okay, now I'm understanding things on a whole new different perspective here. And so when you get this photograph of somebody's birth chart, and then on top of it, you're seeing where the planets are moving in real time, in current time, and where they're igniting a conversation with all these different parts of you, because all the energies of those planets, we're all connected to the stars. Some people say we're made of stardust. So the
Right.
energies and the impact of where these planets are in the galaxy when each person is born has a big influence on our mentality and our psyche and the decisions that we make, who we are.
Well
Yeah.
done.
Okay. So that's
Well done.
That's amazing. There's so many things you've said, Sammie, that are just great.
Yeah.
good. Good.
So commonly we talk about sun signs, and that's what people say, "What's your sign?" And they always say the sun sign, and then there's rising, also called ascendant, and then there's moons, and then there's houses. This is not people did not sign up for a course, so don't feel like you need to be responsible for explaining it. But again, at a high level, maybe talk a little bit about sun, moon, rising, and then just so that we're framing up the show, we're going to talk about the fact that you, and let me put my glasses on, talk about astrology as a route for healing and self discovery beyond prediction, really reading the energies and the intersection with free will. But you're also going to do a little sneak peek at our charts. So,
Yes.
rising, moon, sun. What the
Okay.
heck does that mean?
Okay. So let's start with your sun sign. Your sun sign is, everyone typically is like, oh, yeah, I know I'm a sun in Leo, or I know I'm a sun in Taurus. So when you have your sun, this is your ego. It's your identity. It's how you show up in the world. Effortlessly without even thinking about it. For example, I'll bring me to the forefront here. I am a Leo, and I have the planet Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet that is all about abundance and blessings, and it expands whatever it touches. I have that planet in Leo as well. And so I have Jupiter and my sun kind of holding hands next to one another. And so with me, when I show up on camera, I'm going to make sure I am camera ready, looking good, flip your hair back. It is going to be a fun time. We're going to be not only talking about me a little bit, because Leo is all about me, but we're going to get other people in the spotlight too. I want to let you and let the audience know about, who is it on a soul level, on an identity level, even too. We'll bring it to the most simple part of you, the sun sign. And who is it that we're talking to? How can I bring you into the spotlight? So when we talk about sun sign, this is just, how do you show up on the most superficial level? Okay. Then, and I kind of talked a little bit about Jupiter too. That one's a fun one. If you ever need to see where the planets are current time of like, oh, where's Jupiter gonna maybe bring a lot of challenges, but after we overcome that, what's Jupiter gonna expand and like bring total abundance to? What area of life is that? And when I speak of area of life, that's the houses. So we've got, I talked about your sun. So that's one of the planets. The planets are the actors in the show here when we look at a birth chart. The areas of life, like you have a house, an area of life that's all about career and your legacy and really what you're known for. Then you have on the way bottom of the chart a whole area of life that's all about family and family traditions and the roots that you're building. And Bernadette, this should speak to your heart, like the family legacy and family traditions of what's the karma that we are passing down generation to generation, and what do we, why are we choosing the same people to play in our family as those actors each time with us. So you can gain so much insight about yourself and just through looking at these different areas. So then we've got your moon. Your moon is your emotional body. This is societally, unless you have a lot of water, which like, again, Bernadette, you have so much water. You would feel so inauthentic to not tap into your emotional side.
Mhm.
Society has taught us, no, don't do that. And especially don't let people see that you're getting emotional. So
Mhm.
now it's how can we remind people, oh, it's okay to honor the inner workings of self. You just need to understand how you work. Are you a water emotional person? Do you really need to sit with that during crisis? Can you find stillness? Or is your water all filled with toxicity and do you need to panic? And are you going to here and here and trying to control? Or do you isolate yourself? Or is your moon sign, your emotional body, is it in a fire sign where you need to get active and you need to do something about that temper that you've got? And this is you, Kristin. You have got your moon in a fire sign. Do you know this part about you where if you are ever not moving your body, you just get a little bit more frisky than usual?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. Okay. And then we've got, I guess I'll go through moon signs and all the elements since I'm kind of on this track. Then we've got moon signs. So the way that your emotional body works is in air. If your moon sign is in an air sign, you need to talk it out. I mean, if you
Mm.
have your moon in Gemini or you have a lot of air in your chart, it should be a top priority to have a therapist. So you have scheduled time to, and my teacher Deborah calls it this. I need to give her the props for this. She calls it air conditioning.
Oh, I
You
love that.
need to, yeah, you need to schedule time to condition your air, or else you are going to feel neurotic. The thoughts are going to be so overstimulating to where it's like causing you on a physical level to vibrate. And so
Mm.
when you break it down elementally at the most foundational level, that it gives you so much insight. Then you can go into the sign and the nuances with each sign, and then you can go into the placement, the where in the houses those planets live, and the sign of which it is, and the element of and flavor of that. And you just get so much into insight to yourself. So now let's go moon in earth signs. This one's hilarious because earth signs do not want to do emotions whatsoever. You've got water over here who just is like, okay, yeah, let's time does not exist, and neither do words with water. Let's just like do something that's comforting and like snuggle with our animal when we're in distress or when we're triggered. Then we've got earth, and earth moon signs. They get triggered and they ignore the emotions and get to work. They step into how I need to move this energy by being productive. So it's a difficult sort of energy. And see, this is why it's so perfect that we all chose to be on Earth School, because Earth can sometimes take us away, so far away from connecting to the stillness that we need to have right now. And even if that's an hour conversation about your birth chart, you're taking time to be still and reflect and hold up a mirror and look at yourself and say, oh yeah, how does this show up for me? How do I react with this sort of energy? Why did I come here? Am I being totally inauthentic to myself? So, I'll say something else. I did come here to learn air this lifetime. So I am not gonna I'm gonna own up to the fact that you really do buckle up when you when I go on my little thought pattern here, and I know I'm going all over the place. So please stop me if you
You're
have any
doing great. This is
questions.
Yeah, yeah,
fascinating.
yeah.
This
I
is
mean, I have
fascinating.
lots of questions, but I'm just listening. It's so
Okay.
good.
Yeah, keep going because I'm waiting for,
Rising
rising.
sign.
Yeah, like this is fascinating.
Yes.
You're on it.
Okay. So then we've got your ascendant, your rising sign. So the rising sign is fascinating because there's two little parts of this. On a superficial level, like we are talking, your rising sign depicts and gives insight into your physical body. So if we have someone who is I'll go into the elements again. Water signs. So we've got Cancer, we've got Scorpio, we've got Pisces. Okay, so if you have one of those as your rising sign on a physical level, if you ignore your emotions and if you watch the patterns that you get into, when you get into a point of distress, do you go and grab a bag of chips and start stress eating to try and get to try and connect yourself to your body in one way or another? When you start overworking or when you don't put the right boundaries in place, do you get migraines and headaches? All these sort of symptoms of not taking care of self for water rising signs show up in physical ways. These people get very sick. And it's so deeply connected to what's going on in an emotional level too. Of like anyone who is a water rising sign, so much of your duty and what your soul came in to do. Your soul kind of hops on. This is the second part of a rising sign of your ascendants. We've got superficial physical side, and I described a little bit of what being a water rising sign could be like. Then we've got the soul journey part of your ascendant. Okay, so on a soul level, this is where I'll bring it to the elements again. For those water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, on a soul level, everything is going to be about the connection to each individual soul, not seeing people just on a 3D level and taking those experiences, but really tuning into and paying attention to what happens within the human experience and in this little vessel, this um, a meat suit, some people call it, or just like, your physical body. You're going to learn the connection between the physical body and the emotional world. And that's what when things when for these people, when you do get these sort of illnesses or dis-eases, when you're not at ease with your body and these things come up for you, these symptoms, on a soul level, your soul is like, yes, this is exactly what we need to get to this next step, to figure out what we need to do so we can evolve and keep on learning. But on the human level, oh my gosh, that is rough. So
Mhm.
then we've got our ascendant, our rising signs in Earth. Okay, so Earth is Taurus, it is Virgo, and it is Capricorn. Oh, and Kristin, you have half of your planets in Earth. So you're going to be familiar with this energy. This is, let me write down all the things I get to do today. This is human doing. Earth is everything about doing, Water is everything about human being, stillness, being, emotion. What do I do with that? What do I do with the energy in motion within my human body? Okay, so with Earth, it's I don't want to do the emotions. We're going to do the complete human existence. On a physical level, these people, if you have your rising sign in one of these Earth signs, strength, whew, especially Capricorn rising. Capricorn risings on a superficial body level, so strong. There is nothing, this is what came to mind was like Simone Biles. I don't have her chart in front of me, but man, she would be someone who would be like, it's the goat. It is the greatest of all time. It is the goat that keeps on climbing up the mountain, and they don't even want to stop and take stock at everything that they've accomplished, because nothing's ever good enough. So that's the thing. If you have your rising sign in one of these earth signs, it's like, oh, are you being a perfectionist? Are your standards a bit too high? How can you bring it back to bringing it back to being within the moment here? Take it away from the money for a second, because Earth likes money. Earth likes to know that everything is in its place. It loves the yum yum factor. If you're a Taurus rising, I hope you're making a meal while you're watching this, or having some sort of delicious tea or drink of some sort, like something that gets you totally in the moment where you're like, oh gosh, that's delicious.
Like the creature comforts.
Yes. Or those like fuzzy socks, especially now in wintertime. It's like, how can we get the heated blanket and the fuzzy socks on? And so earth signs really want to be of service. Let's bring this to a soul level now, that whole side of your rising sign. Everything is being very purposeful for self and for others. So it's this whole relation to your material world. So this is why it's like human doing. Like you're going to use the material things around you. Heck, you're going to have to survive within a whole system that is an illusion and based off of this stuff that people call money. And, you have to live within those structures and the rules and the law and order that comes with that. Earth is very old school. It's very traditions. It likes to keep things alive. My mother, a good example of this sort of energy is, and from a soul level of how this can really come up, is my mom is a Capricorn rising. Oh my gosh, she is one of the most hardworking women I have ever met. Um, you can tell that she feels off if she is not being productive with her business. And with Earth loves business. They love doing everything within the structures and the systems. They love this game. Oh my gosh. So, but when my mom's father passed away, and that was when I was in my early teens. So this has been over 20 years. And when I went to go visit her for just a few months ago, I spent a week with her in my childhood home. And we were in a little bit of a storage area, and I picked up my grandfather's old slipper, and she kept his slippers when he passed away, and she said, I will never get rid of these. So that's a really good sort of analogy, and it's because she has something in material, tangible form that
Mhm.
brings her back into the moment of, and this is like the perfect blend of earth meeting um water, and so you can understand the difference between these two. Her holding that slipper, she can escape time, even though Capricorn is the ruler of time. Capricorn loves time. She can grab that slipper, hold it to her heart, start crying. So she allows the emotion to run through her and reminds her that, oh my gosh, this brings me close to my dad. And then she'll go upstairs and she'll see a cardinal as she's eating lunch or something. And then that's another sign. So she's very, um, earth and water are opposite of one another. So can you take the time to find something tangible, but then find the connection to the spirit world with it, to find the connection to um, the energy that anything sort of physical can bring. And so that on the soul level, earth signs on for rising signs. I'm losing my train of thought here a little bit, but it's all the physical. It's all production. It's all doing. Then we've oh, go ahead.
No, you were gonna say then, that's what I was gonna yes, then with, maybe air or
Yep. Then we've got air. Air is talking, dialoguing, ideas, fresh new things. It's new age. We don't want any of this earth stuff. We want to do things brand new ways. We
so that's
want to,
Aquarius, sorry to cut you off.
yep.
What else?
So then we've got Gemini, we have got Libra and Aquarius.
Okay.
Gemini, talkie podcast hosts. This is like the energy that's all about marketing, new ideas, multitasking, having a coloring book right next to you while you're doing something else. Libra is all about relationship. It's all about seeing both sides, neutrality. These are the lawyers of the zodiac. This is also contracts of keeping integrity to our word. And then we've got Aquarius. Aquarius waves their freak flag up in the air and says, "Oh, this is all about individuality." And there's a connection to extraterrestrials up there. And we're just another cosmic being within this whole galaxy.
Yep.
And so air signs are here and they're fast people. They have tons of different things that they're doing. They are multitaskers. They are an expert in a multitude of things.
Yes.
Yes. And they came here to talk about it. Everything is very much based on linguistics. You will know if you're talking to someone with a lot of air because they'll be able to talk to you not only in English, but they're great to go traveling with because they'll know a bunch of different languages and it came to them like that. These are people who are masters at many different subjects because they are sponges. They soak it in.
Mhm.
And so everything for air signs is, do you get lost with all the thoughts, with the clouds that constantly keep going, or can you connect your head to your heart? Again, it's coming back to the inner world and the emotions. That's why I feel like your moon sign is so important for each person to really understand that.
All right.
Mm.
Yes.
Then fire, I feel like so you've done earth, you've done air, and now the last is fire. Oh, we didn't
Yes.
say water, we said water, sorry.
We did water in the beginning.
Okay.
So yes. So fire, we've got Aries, we've got Leo, we've got Sagittarius. Whew. If you have a fire rising sign, physically, you need to be active every day, even if that's like intense breath work. You need to be moving your energy. On a soul level, everything for fire people is about being bold, showing your expression and taking initiative of not being behind the scenes this lifetime, of going forward, paving the way for new things so they can really grow.
Okay. Amazing. I'm just listening my I feel like I'm doing all the question asking and talking a lot to Bernadette. I wanna leave room for you, but I'm before I do, my son my son is Taurus sun and Virgo sun, Taurus rising, and as you're talking, I'm like, "Oh my god, it's so him.
Yes.
He's so
Oh
him."
my gosh. Yes.
Well, that's what it's bringing up. It's bringing up, I'm thinking of my daughter. I'm thinking of my little granddaughter. You know what I mean? Like it just even as an infant, I'm already seeing that, things. It's amazing when you really start to break it down.
And that's one reason why I love astrology too is you'll go to the store and you will watch people. It makes you observe yourself and other people because you will be able to pick out, oh, I know that person has a lot of Taurus energy. Look
Yeah.
how slow and deliberate they are. Do they really want to spend their money on this? You can tell the people who are Taurus people also because they are so devoted to their mission in what they're doing. They live life through their core values, and you can
Yeah.
see it. They're so stable.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Okay. Okay. So let me say back a little bit of what you're saying to condense it a little bit and
Yeah.
share a little bit of my understanding. And then, because time being time, I want to make sure there's room for you to share a little bit about our charts. And the reason for it is, yes, it's great for us, but it also is an example of how you take someone's birth chart and really animate their capacity to gain self awareness as well as self discovery, and to see how close that we can get to
Mhm.
negotiating how we show up so that we're aligned with our soul's contract and our soul's mission. Okay.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
what I understand, we've got these three: we've got sun, rising or ascendant, or moon, right? And
Yes.
then we've got the 12 houses, and each house has a different area of life, whether it's career or dreams or relationships, like going through the 12 houses. And then there are alignments of the planet, and each planet rules a different sign. Like Saturn, around boundaries and limitations, is a Capricorn. Jupiter is the Leo, which is super expansive. Venus is Taurus, which is all about love, seduction, creature comfort. So it makes sense for each sign. But then your particular snapshot of the birth chart is the relationship of all of them at the moment of your birth. But because nothing is static, and as time moves forward, the planets are
Mhm.
changing and shifting and, going retrograde and stepping forward. And there are, I forget the word, you would know all of it, but there's so much movement, which is why it's important to understand. This would be a really great opportunity to start a podcast. This would be a time to look at your finances. This is a time when you really have to look at how you're communicating and staying true to yourself or remaining calm. Am I getting it? Where am I wrong?
Yes. But I think absolutely, the most important thing, and I think the most powerful thing, is people understanding that it's okay to have a healthy ego, understanding what their life lesson is as well, which Saturn, that planet of restriction and discipline, really brings you into that. So
Mm.
everything that Kristen just described is all these little clues of what's my role that I play in this
Mhm.
whole thing, because it's really easy to get into that mindset of like, "Oh, wow, there's so many of us here. Why do I even matter?" Well,
Yeah.
each one of us so truly does matter, and it's written in your chart. And so,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh. And
Well,
it's
and that's
written.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Well, in the beginning, when you first started talking, Sammie, one of the things that you said is that we need to focus on ourself first. That we need to uncover and find out about ourselves before, almost before we can go out into the world. Like, it's so important, and all of this, astrology is such an amazing tool to help people, understand this. And Kristin, just what you said, you helped me. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, going through all those things, it's, you forget there are all of these different things that affect us in astrology. So looking forward to hearing more.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So, and there's just one more thing too that I want to say before I hop into these mini readings here. I think, we've talked about time several moments throughout speaking with one another. And there's really important, and since from a young age, we are drilled into us. What time is it? Be on time, pay attention to the time. Astrology is something that, yes, while a session is only like an hour and a half or so, it takes you completely out of time, and that doesn't matter, and you can have a completely honest, confidential conversation, and that is a we all need to be talking to one another as a collective and sharing ideas and finding things in common with one another and empowering each other and bringing the light in each other's lives. It's a whole energetic. So, with that, I'm going to do Bernadette. I'm just pulling up your chart here really quick. Okay. So, the first thing that I want to touch on, I'll just say your sun, moon, and your rising here. So, we've got sun in Libra, moon in Pisces, Pisces rising. And that is the most astrology jargon I am going to say. And I'm going to try and translate this into our common language of English right now. So, first of all, Sun in Libra, let's talk about your sun. This is your ego, your identity, how you show up in the world. Now, it's in the seventh house that is all about relationships. And man, Libra is all about relationships as well. This is, in one end of the spectrum, it can be like codependency, really kind of basing everything that you do. Off of, is it going to rock the boat with anyone else? It's like, whew, gosh, I don't want conflict. On the highest potential, it's okay, I know what my needs are, and I know that the relationship or collaboration in whatever I'm doing, um, it has a different sort of need. And how can I honor both of those? And how can the relationship or any sort of collaboration be interdependent rather than getting me sucked in so I lose myself? Do you ever find that? Do you feel that ever?
It is amazing. I have spent most of my life in the codependent, where taking care of, and it is now that I am working deeply on, understanding that I am part of this. And so yeah, I completely understand it.
And you're doing so much of the work with just with what you said too, of you understanding this part of you, because so I really look at 10 planets here, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of your 10 planets are in this part of your chart. It's the third quadrant. And this is all about learning, but like also experiences that have to do all through the other, and experiences that have to do with external forces coming in. It's your relations to others, it's your relations with other people's things, and then it's sharing your wisdom, and how it's changed you and impacted you and made you a person that you are today. So, yeah, how does that feel? Just hearing that part. Do you resonate
Yeah.
with that?
Mhm. Yeah. There is so much, even as you were talking about Libras before and things like that. Yeah, there is so much that I know now about myself. I've done a lot of work. And so yes, I can feel, I mean, we do work until, till we cross, and then we come back and do it again. But
Yes.
yeah, I can feel I've known enough. And I've done, yeah, so I definitely feel that.
Yeah. Okay. Now, here's the cool thing about your Libra energy. You have the planet Jupiter. That's the exact degree right on your sun. And so I kind of touched on this before, but yours is so much more close. It's like literally on top of Jupiter is on top of your sun. So this almost gives you like a Sagittarius sun energy. So this is the part. So let's talk learning and wisdom. Woo, that's Sagittarius. This is the part of you that maybe has a little bit of temper if people insult you. Like, oh my God, you're gonna say it how it is and have a little bit of foot and mouth. And oh, I'm so sorry if that hurts you, even if it's kind of the thoughts. It's you got to do everything big, and it expands everything. It makes that Libra energy of, oh, let me really make this about you and make you comfortable. It's a beautiful quality to have, but having the awareness of not getting sucked into that sort of thing too. But
Mhm.
everything about what you came in effortlessly, your ego is through sharing with others, like teachings and your wisdom and everything that you've learned. And especially in with relations, period. Of like, oh, this isn't just about me this go around. This is so deeply connected to other people as
Mhm.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, deeply connected, but I also feel the Jupiter in the, allowing myself to expand now, where
Mm.
for a long time, I think I was so deeply literally in that codependent, and now that I'm understanding that I exist, and the effect, I'm now able to, I feel the expansion, and I feel, yeah, so definitely.
Yeah. Jupiter can bring us to that point where it's, oh, there's a bunch of challenges coming to the surface, but once we meet it and we don't ignore it,
Mhm,
the the blessings come and the teachings come, and it just helps to make us stronger in the end. Um,
mhm,
okay, so let's talk about your moon in Pisces. Man, you have a really, really rare thing in your chart called a yod. It's called the finger of God. It means that you've been pointed at this lifetime, and it points directly to your moon in Pisces. Where it is in your chart is the one of the most intuitive placements. I mean, this is one foot is on Earth, but
mhm.
another foot never left, never left the afterlife. And so you have this beautiful and you're doing it. You're literally public
Yeah,
about it, sharing it with the world, which is so cool
mhm,
too. Um,
yeah,
this is and that's the air. That sun in Libra is being vocal about, "Wait, everyone, there is so much more to life that's going on here." Um,
mhm,
when you were born from I mean, there was no part of you that shed that sensitivity
mm,
of there's a part of
interesting.
you that's so vulnerable and so
Mhm,
compassionate for other people's journey too, because
mhm,
you understand how hard things can get
mhm.
because that moon in Pisces that you have, do you ever feel like like you walk in a restaurant and you can pick out the tables where people are like, "Oh, they're having a great day," or, "Oh my god, they are not doing good."
Restaurants have I've always known the person that isn't getting their order or that something has been messed up, and they can be way across the room, and I can feel that energy. It is, yeah. And I want to just say that, with since I now, spirit has come into me and I have a guide, and so this connection with the other side has become a huge thing about sharing and helping others understand, that knowledge and that wisdom about. So that is a really cool thing to hear about my chart. That's,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah,
And to boot, you're double Pisces because you're Pisces rising as well. So on a soul level, everything soul wise, physical wise. I mean, you are someone to where if you're not taking care of if you constantly have unresolved emotion, you will get those physical symptoms as as a Pisces rising.
mhm,
Um, and through a soul level, your soul loves it when you can feel that someone's not getting their way at the restaurant. They're like, "Oh, good, something to make us uncomfortable and try and
oh,
take us out of the moment. How can we come back to stillness?" And
yeah.
still maybe even send them a little bit of Reiki from afar or
Well, that's what I do. I
Of
try and
course
send
you do.
I try and send out, yeah, um, but I'm doing it for me. I mean, I'm doing it for them, but I'm also doing it for me because, it's that
Yes.
uncomfortableness and of just feeling and being so, yeah, just so intuitive and so, yeah, it's
You're
ruled me for most of my life, and it's now I have an understanding of it, and I never did when I was younger.
And now you can use this sensitivity as a superpower, truly, because
Yeah,
it's what your soul wants to experience and go through as well. You're a
yeah,
healer. That's
mhm,
y- you've been pointed at this lifetime to share your healing capabilities with other people.
yeah.
And let's see, life lesson. Ooh, this is interesting. Okay, so your life lesson, has it been difficult for you in the past to be really bold about who you are and, like, kind of share these things? Did you ever feel like you had to hold back and not be seen?
Yes, my entire life. I am 3rd from the bottom of 8 children, so I was yeah, so my whole life was that. I learned to keep to not talk, but keep my eyes and my ears open, and that's how I went through the world, like, not so, yes, it is only now that and it's still I'm working on this. It is part of my journey to open up. Yeah.
Yes, it's getting your life lesson is getting really activated right now. And a lot of what you have to give yourself permission to do, and you'll keep feeling this until like 2026. So you've got the great time to work on this for the next year or so. Being so bluntly, brutally honest, not to hurt other people, but just to share your truth.
Mm,
Your life lesson is, what's my truth? And am I giving myself permission to share it with other people? You're a teacher. Everything is teaching, healing and teaching. That's a lot of what your life path is here to do.
it's
And
exactly what I'm doing now.
yeah, and your north node, your north node is, it's a connection to the soul, but it's different than your rising sign, because this is like the soul's mission of how we're going to grow. Like on a soul level, we need to get better at these things. Saturn is our life lesson, and we need to get good at these things on a very human level. But on an energetic level, from the soul path, everything for you is like diving into the dark side and
Mm,
figuring out how we can find the light, and that it doesn't have to stay dark. That
mm.
what are the things that pull us out of this, and how can we kind of uncover and investigate these things about us, but also get real with other people and share the truth with other people.
That's fascinating. I have had one of the lessons that spirit has taught me is this idea of the light and the dark, and that this earth experience, it is why we are here, because we can experience both, and that on the other side it is all light. And so it has definitely been a life lesson for me to understand this connection between the light and the dark. And being from Vermont, it was like in Vermont when I really learned this. It was looking out a window and seeing, it was a gray sky, and it's stick season like it is now in the winter, um, and seeing the trees against the gray. So it was that white and dark, and that's when that knowledge really came into me, and it was so I really understand that. And now I'm in California, and it's lots of the leaves are still here, but that lesson, I'm glad I learned it back then.
Oh my gosh, yes. So let me tell you, I'll wrap up your mini reading with letting you know like what the flavor is of your emotional needs right now.
Mhm.
So every 2.5 years, we have a shift in what our emotional body craves, needs, kind of how we see the world around us. It's called our progressed moon. And you are 22 months into a 29-month cycle, and it's Leo energy. So this is fire, and this is the most spotlight out of all the signs in the zodiac. Like, you are meant to be seen right now. This is all about you bringing your creative projects to the surface, and like, it's everything about like, what are you doing day to day that inspires you? Because that's the key to keeping yourself on the right track here. So what do you do day to day?
What do I do? Well, I am this healing and teaching, I am expanding it. I came out of the spiritual closet and let people know that I have these spiritual experience and that I am connected to a guide. And so that is what I am doing, is opening up to the healing and the teaching that I'm supposed to be doing. And so that's my goal every day, is what can I do to make that brighter so that more people can see and that I can help them on this path.
Yes, yes. And is there, what do you do? What's your connection with your inner child right now? A lot of things can come up with inner child during this sort of transit.
I have to always work on my inner child, because my inner child, my needs weren't met. I was from a big family. I was the end of the family. So, I have to always continue, because, as you go through life, your birth order in your family, still plays a role, and that's still playing a role in my family. And so that
Mhm.
is really what I do, is just to acknowledge that's who my inner child is, but that I don't have to be that inner child now. I don't have to, that I can be. But it is something that, literally on a daily basis, there are times of the day that I have to fight against that. Like, you can be seen and heard, and um, you have something to give the world.
Yes, that's Saturn who's reminding you that on a day. And if you don't honor that, Saturn's going to knock that door down and remind you that you have to. So
Yeah.
here's your homework as you finish up these last 7 months of this energy, because what's coming next is very detail oriented. You're going to go into Virgo Earthland. You're going to be like in health mode, organizing things and being very, very practical. You're such a mystic and so connected to the other side. So in 7 months, it's going to be more so how do we make things practical and more real, to really expand and grow them. So for the next 7 months, I want you to write a letter to your inner child, to the youngest version of you when you felt vulnerable and unseen, like you weren't allowed to stand up for yourself or give your point of view. And I want you to write a letter to her, letting her know that it's everything is safe now and you've got her back, and being that mentor to her. And then when you write that letter, hold it to your heart, take a deep breath, and then you can either keep it with you and look back at it, or I mean, I'm a double fire person, so I always think it's good to light it on fire.
Thank you, Sammie. That
Yeah.
just it's amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Okay. So now I've got
Hmm.
it's Kristin's turn. Okay. So let's speak astrology for a second. Kristin, I've got you Sun in Taurus, Moon in Sagittarius, Aquarius rising. So, Sun in Taurus, this is the part of you that needs to be aligned with like your core values of why you do things. Everything that you do has that yum yum factor to it. It's beautiful, it feels good, like textures matter. It's cozy. Things are
Mhm.
just like, oh God, like it's the oh, take a deep breath and be in the moment of the earth. It's you like to know that you've got things in order when it comes to finances, when it comes to the foundation of what you're doing things in. You are always striving for excellence. In fact, when you were born, your ego and your identity was born with, I mean, it's pretty close to it. You've got Saturn right by your sun. So your
Yeah.
life, yes. So Saturn on your sun, that brings an amount of that's like having someone on your shoulder yelling at you to do better at every given moment. Do you feel that?
Constantly. Constantly. Yeah.
Do you remind yourself that you're doing really good and that you
Constantly.
okay, good. Good.
Yeah, and that was a really hard lesson to learn.
Yes. That's because there's like an inner critic energy that can come up with
Yes.
Earth, and especially Saturn too. It's like mise en place, everything in its place, right? And like when things aren't in its place, or when we're not giving 7,000%, something feels ungrounded and unstable about it. But everything, you are like a rock. Like everything about you feels like you keep it stable for people, and people feel grounded when they're around you. There is so much that has to do, again, values is coming to mind here. If I asked you right now, what like are your top 3 values that you live your life by?
Honesty, integrity, kindness,
Mm,
truth. So that honesty, grace,
mhm,
learning,
mhm,
growing, healing.
mhm, mhm. And I bet so your Sun in Taurus and that Saturn right there could give somebody literally a manual of how to do all of those core values too. You're an expert as okay, here's how you practically do those and start implementing them into, here's the biggest keyword, routine
Yeah.
is absolutely necessary
Mhm.
for everything about you. And I bet you're so good at helping other people build routines too.
Mhm. I'm an executive and life coach.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Yes. You were born to be that.
Yeah, I was trained as a therapist, so that was the direction I was gonna go, and then I veered slightly, but it's very similar.
Yes. So Now here's career has been huge for you this lifetime because your moon, your inner world, your emotional body in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the teachers of the zodiac, the wisdom givers of the zodiac. They're bold. They have to let that temper go out. The steam will come out of their ears if they don't. And then it'll feel blocked. It gives
Yeah.
you movement at any given time, which is great because Taurus goes slow. It's like the turtle, but it's so consistent.
Mhm.
But then that moon in Sag says, no, we got to have fun. And especially when it comes to career, nothing can be mundane. We need to be sharing big teachings and a lot of knowledge with other people. And by golly, we are here to wake people up.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Mhm.
that's what a lot of, I mean, that's a big part of your legacy and your inner world too. You got that moon right on your career line. Oh my God. That's like
Mhm.
if you're not waking people up, which in therapy, you're waking people up too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yes, man, that moon in Sag, I can feel that that is strong for you. Now,
Mhm.
before I talk about your Aquarius rising, immediately I was like, oh, she must have so much. I always, whoever is a podcast host always has a lot of air, but specifically Geminis are fantastic podcast hosts because that curiosity never
Mhm.
ends. Yes.
Yes.
And you have got a stellium, and a stellium is 3 planets or more in the 3rd house. And the 3rd house is ruled by Gemini. And so there is so much, it's, and your mind lives here too. How you think you, nothing satiates your curiosity. You want to know about
Right.
so many different topics.
Yes.
You
Mhm.
want to like make friends with everyone too and like just have it be
Mhm.
a social gathering. So
Mhm.
and then so we'll tie that whole flavor, that stellium that you have with your Aquarius rising. So much of what you are here to do is to communicate to the masses and communicate new ideas and bring super ancient knowledge that we've been b- blocked off from
Yeah.
societally for a long time and bring it back to people so they can feel better
Yes.
because
That's
you
right.
get the Aquarius rising, you understand what it feels like to not feel like a part of the whole
Mm.
and feel
Big
separate.
time. Big time.
Yeah.
Big
And
time.
yeah, and so there's such a big piece to that to where you don't even have to you're relating to people and their experience because of everything that you've been through because Aquarius rising you can feel so separate from other people even if you have a bunch of friends around you. And so it's always being so aware of what makes me unique and how can I choose the people around me that value my uniqueness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm really selective with who I let in a close way because there's so many people I can be there for them, right? Like I can really tune into them, but I
Mhm.
don't always feel seen by other people.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so let's tie in soul wise before I even go to your life lesson. I mean, let me go to your life lesson first because I touched on Saturn right on your sun. A lot of what you're here to learn this lifetime is your relationship with your own ego and your own identity. And
Mhm.
how do you allow yourself to feed your ego in a really good way? And I mean, you being seen on this podcast and you sharing your ideas and helping others evolve and grow, like how do you honor that within you? And it's a lot of you're here to learn about money, you're here to learn about everything that keeps the bricks in line
Mhm.
within someone's big life structure. Everything that goes in between. What are the ingredients that make someone's life feel happy and fulfilled? And what does that mean for each individual person? Do you feel that?
100%.
And
Yeah.
it's giving yourself the permission to move slow. So especially your that moon in Sag is going to want you to go quicker. Come on, Kristin, go
Always.
quicker.
Always, I always feel like I'm behind schedule. always behind schedule.
but
Yeah.
you're right on time.
Mhm.
And but
Mhm.
give yourself the permission
Mhm.
to remember that.
Yeah.
And so then your north node is in the first house and it's in Pisces. So when you said like this is so much about healing, like you've got that north node in the first house and healing is Pisces. How do we heal the human collective? By understanding by having empathy and
Yes.
understanding that it's hard to be human. And Earth School is like AP class on steroids. This is
Mhm.
really difficult.
Mhm.
And so how can we be here not only for each other but for ourselves too? How can we have compassion for ourselves? Bring it back to
Mhm.
self, north node in the first house.
Mhm.
So what you're and you have so much earth. Oh my gosh, half of your planet's in earth. You know how to get it done, girl. That is that's an understatement.
I'm a hard worker.
Yes. Now, you're going through something very, very significant right now. You're going through your progressed moon return.
Gotta
This
write that
only
down.
Yes, this only happens a few times throughout your lifetime because every 2.5 years, that moon is moving through a different sign in the zodiac, and the flavors and expression of that sign and whatever planets it's touching in your natal chart are going to be expressed through you. So you are this progressed moon is returning right back to where it was in the heavens when you were first born.
Mm.
Everything, I hope you are really prioritizing everything fun right now, but like knowing the difference between overindulging and like just the right amount of indulgence.
It's hard as a Taurus.
Yes, I know, I know, I know.
Uh-huh.
You're here, kind of here to call BS on yourself just as much as you call BS on other people. Like, how can you wake yourself up and shake yourself from the routine that's not really, Taurus, you can get so stuck in the
Stuck.
mundane.
Yeah.
Yes. And so this fire that you're going through, this progressed moon in Sagittarius is like, what do we need to do that is new? Like, do we need to get a new book out there? How is our podcast changing? How are we waking people up right now? And how are we
Mhm.
connecting on a spiritual level by doing it's almost like how can I have the actions in place to really be a modern day um like what comes to mind is like modern day sage is what I think about with Sagittarius energy. So it's like, how am I doing the work to really practice what I'm preaching here? Of
Mm.
like, how do I get still? How do I get loud at the same time?
Yeah.
What's the fire energy feel like? How does it feel to just kind of erupt? Do I grab a pillow and scream into it when I get all of that fiery energy moving through me? Or do I suppress it and then explode later on? So
Mhm.
it's this whole connection and understanding of your relationship to your inner world and how you're not allowing yourself to fully connect to it. Like, what do you do when you get angry?
Are you literally asking?
Yeah.
Anger has been such a complicated one for me. I feel like I've experimented, right? Is it about
Yes.
mindfulness? Is it about explosion? Is it about going to a rage room? Is it about quieting? So, right now, the phase that I'm in is that I am learning for me that anger begets anger. If I feed it too much, it's like pouring fuel on the fire.
Yes.
So, I notice it. I'm learning to notice it and breathe. And what is underneath it versus just like, "I have the right to be in my rage. It's been
Yes.
subdued for too long." That is
Right.
actually not healthy for me at all.
No, and no one. That's
Mhm.
going to the extreme of that
Mhm.
energy. And some people
Mhm.
think that that's like, oh no, that
Yeah.
that's the way to do it. But it is. How can we be present with it? How
Mhm.
do we know? Is the breath work enough?
Yeah.
You don't want to get anything that takes you out of your body to where you're vibrating too much.
Yeah. And that goes back to the physical thing, like, I do need to move, and I just need to
Yeah.
find a way to move, not in a rageful way, but in a,
Right.
like, how do I return to me? because anger can be
Yes.
so seductive for me, especially as a silenced child. It's like, and a woman with a soft voice, and it's like, "Don't
Mm.
with me," you know, and it's just like, "Whoa, whoa, I'm
Mhm.
losing myself." And then
Yes.
it's the act of self-compassion when I do versus the act
Mhm.
of self-flagellation and
Yeah.
scorn, and yeah.
Yes. Yes. It's what came to mind is being able to discern um what happens when anger takes you into self-sabotage versus when anger takes you into, oh, I'm awake now. I need to
Exactly.
change
Well
something.
said. So well said. Because
Yes.
that's the message, that it is about waking you up to a data point. What is that data point? What is your relationship to it? I should speak in the first person. What is my relationship to it? How can
Mhm.
this enliven and enrich and heal versus just getting stuck in it?
Mhm. Exactly. Yes. And feeling is key because that's how your soul, that North Node in Pisces, if you're not feeling, if you're doing things that disconnect you from the feeling body, you're not doing what your soul wants to do this lifetime in order to grow.
Mm.
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Amazing.
You are so good at this. Thank you very, very, very much. As my friend
Thank
would say, thank you all
you.
the muches. Thank
Yeah.
you for doing this. Really, really good. So I would, and I know we would, this goes without saying, love to have you on again. But in the meantime, you have taught so much and you have revealed and shown rather than just spoken the words why this is so powerful. How do people contact you and get a reading or learn more?
Yeah. So you can visit my website, firebirdastrology.com. And on there, I have a booking page where you sign up to get a reading, and my conference room is confidential. It's a recorded phone call, and I send you the recording afterwards. So yes, visit my website. And I also have an Instagram. And my Instagram it's me, Sammie Swan. But I will say there has been a trend the past several years where especially people in the spiritual realm and coaches and astrologers, there's a lot of scamming that can happen on Instagram. So just do know the only way to book a reading is through my website.
You're not gonna be reaching out and sending direct messages, right?
We,
Exactly.
yeah.
Right.
So Sammy, one thing I wanted to say before we go is it was amazing listening to you read Kristin's. Kristin and I have gotten to know each other this year, and what is so amazing is I think we all should be able to hear the readings for people that are close in our lives,
Yes.
because
Yes.
it is so much information. I mean, everything you said about Kristin, I could feel. And
Yes.
I think it is just, I think that is such an amazing part of what you do. So it's not only you, but it's like you want to share what you have given me. I would love to share it with everybody who knows me, so they could say,
Yes.
oh, that's why
Yes.
she's the way she is.
Yeah, it's like
Yes.
working with teams, people do all these assessments. I'm sitting here thinking, this is what, corporate teams need to work with to really understand people. If they could
Yes.
embrace, and it is this awakening, so I'm hoping it wouldn't be
Yes.
such a departure from you know, their
Mhm.
frame of reference that they wouldn't invite in and appreciate the wealth of wisdom it could provide.
Oh, right. And just one more thing based off of that too. Not only can you see other people's, life lessons that they're learning, you can lay charts on top of each other and see what the energy of a whole relationship is. So
Wow.
that's really like with executive teams and stuff, that
Yeah.
is a huge opportunity with using astrology as a tool.
God, that's so cool. We
Yeah.
I
need to
know.
take over the world. That's all there
I
is to
know.
it. I mean, the 3 of us with
I was
your
just gonna-
skills, I know, hers with the transcendent and mine with the practicality. Now how do we put it into motion and make it actionable? Just saying.
It's
I'm gonna
amazing.
Yes, and I'll have to check our relationship chart with the 3 of us and see how we will make it happen.
Well, ours is good because you've always been in my heart. I have just
Oh,
so
right
I'm so
back
glad
at
you're
you.
here. Yeah.
All right, if you've made it this far, please like, subscribe, share. It really helps the channel and gets these important messages out there. Once again, Sammie, thank you so much. This was an absolute joy.
Thank you so much, ladies.
How I Made It Through is produced and distributed by EIQ Media, LLC. Elevate your emotional IQ with podcasts and content focused on overcoming adversity, leadership, mental health, entrepreneurship, spiritually transformative experiences, and more.